Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and today's video topic is one that is very, very important to me. Because as most of you may know, because I speak pretty openly about it, I struggle with anxiety a lot. I have an anxiety disorder, as a lot of people out there nowadays have, sadly, and I feel like it's very, very important to find healthy ways to cope with it. I want to start this video out though. I am not a therapist, I am not a mental health professional, I'm not a doctor, nothing like that. So the most effective way to cope with anxiety, of course, is to learn how to actually work at it and get rid of it, possibly with the help of therapy and doctors. So that is, of course, the first thing I want to say in this video is if you struggle with anxiety and it is possible for you, then please, please, please go to therapy. But when you find yourself in an acute situation and you have anxiety and you kind of need to soothe it, you need to get rid of it, then I feel like it's very, very important to have healthy skills to cope with anxiety. That is where this video comes in. I kind of just want to give you some healthy, witchy ways to cope with your anxiety. These are ways that I have found that help for myself. And yeah, I just thought that maybe they could help you too. So get yourself a nice hot cup of tea, because that is actually one of the topics in this video, and let's get into it. So the first thing that I really like to do when I feel like I have a lot of anxiety is something that you probably already thought that I would talk about, because I just love doing it, and that is meditation. Meditation is probably the easiest way to cope with anxiety, because you literally just have to sit down and focus. It not only helps in an acute state of anxiety, so if you already have anxiety, but it also helps prevent it. That is why I try to do it daily, like 10-15 minutes daily. I can notice how my stress and anxiety levels go down, and that also leads to, for example, my migraines being lessened. So that is why I'm such a huge fan of meditation. The problem can be though that nowadays our attention span is not that great due to apps like TikTok, for example, but also there are people who have ADHD, for example, who struggle with just focusing on your breath. And when you're in an acute state of anxiety, of course you have intrusive thoughts and your mind is racing. So trying to sit down and just focus on your breath can be very, very hard. And that is where I find that guided meditations come in very, very handy, especially things like guided walking meditations, for example. I love those. They have saved me a lot of times. And one app that I really love for that is Aura. Aura is an app that has gotten me out of this anxiety-induced fight and flight mode a lot of times. They have kindly decided to sponsor this video. I'm very, very thankful. Thank you so much, Aura, for sponsoring this video. But let's get over to sponsor Bente. Aura is a new mindfulness and sleep app that has won the Best of Apple award, and it's currently used by over 7 million people. It's a great all-in-one app for your sleep and well-being, with thousands of meditations, sleep stories, and so much more, like cognitive behavioral therapy, life coaching, and even breathwork. Aura's content is created by hundreds of expert coaches and therapists around the world. It's highly customizable, notifying you about content that has been picked specifically for you every single day. You can also create personal playlists and work on mood trackers or gratitude journals, which is a great way to track your results. Personally, I am very, very picky when it comes to the background sounds during meditations. And on Aura, you can customize them. Do you like nature sounds? Great. Binaural beats? Amazing, they have them. Even white noise is possible. Aura is basically like a Spotify for your mind and soul. It has hundreds of guides from diverse backgrounds, and unlike with traditional meditation apps that just give you a few coaches in a one-size-fits-all package, on Aura, it is very, very easy to find a guide that resonates with you. No wonder 87% of Aura users report an improvement in sleep and well-being in just the first 3 days. For me, Aura is really working. It not only helps me de-stress and stay calm long-term, but it also provides awesome guided meditations for acute anxiety attacks. You can get started using Aura now completely for free on Aura's website by using the special link in my video description. The first 500 people using this link get a 7-day trial and also exclusive 25% off. All right, after this recommendation, let us talk about spirit allies. So your ancestors, deities, plant spirits, animal spirits, any spirit allies that you could think of. As you probably know, my whole practice basically is very, very spirit work heavy. I work with my ancestors, with an animal spirit, with plant spirits, with deities. One thing that I have found quite recently actually is that just talking to them and communing with them really, really helps me to get out of an anxiety state, because it is kind of like a little bit of therapy because you just talk about the feelings that you have and the thoughts that are coming up in your mind. And to me personally, that is very, very helpful to kind of get a more objective viewpoint on the whole situation. When you have anxiety, a lot of the times you're stuck in this panic mode. It really prevents you from looking at things objectively. But as soon as you talk about it and you hear yourself talking about it, it kind of helps you rationalize your thoughts. And with these intrusive anxiety thoughts, that is extremely helpful. You could argue now, yeah, well, why don't you just talk to friends and family? They can at least talk back to you. But sometimes that can be hard. And just having this outside entity that you can talk to, it can be easier, at least for the first step. I really like to talk to, first of all, my ancestors when I'm in a state of anxiety, because my ancestors were humans. They were humans. They have probably lived through a lot of the same experiences that I'm living through right now. So they will be probably the spirits that can relate to feelings of anxiety the most. So I feel like they will probably also be the ones that can give the best advice. But also Hel, the deity, goddess Hel, has been a great help with anything that has to do with mental health. You probably already know by now that I'm a huge tea fan, and there is a reason why I like drinking tea so much. It's not just about the taste. A lot of herbal allies that you can make into tea, they not only taste good, but they are scientifically proven actually to help with feelings of anxiety and stress. So for example, some of these herbal allies would be lavender, that's a very classic one, mint, that's one that's maybe not that well known, lemon balm, passion flower, but also herbs like valerian root, for example, or chamomile. And yeah, in my experience, not only do these herbal allies themselves help, but for me personally, the thing that's most important about the whole thing is the process. So whenever I feel like I have a lot of anxiety or I'm very stressed, what really helps me is to make a tea with, of course, these herbal allies that are known to reduce stress and anxiety and that are just in general calming. I brew a nice hot cup of tea with this, and I try to really, really focus on this process so that I can really put all of the energy that I want into this tea. One of the easiest magical things that you can do on a day-to-day basis is stirring your intention into a nice hot cup of tea. That is something that also really helps for me. Really, really focus on the process even while the water is steeping. Then stir your intention into the tea, charge it up with the intention of maybe calling in a feeling of calmness and peace and relaxation, because that is what I personally need when I am very, very stressed and anxious. And lastly, something that you can also do, maybe also if you don't really like tea usually, is add some sugar or some honey into your tea and stir it into your tea with the intention of sweetening your day. That can also really, really help. And then just sit down and drink it. And as I already said, don't distract yourself with your phone. Even though you might feel like, for example, scrolling on TikTok is relaxing, it actually is not. It's very, very stressful. Just sit down and just focus on the process of drinking this tea, and with that drinking all of this calming and relaxing energy. It's kind of like a little mini meditation. It kind of draws you out of this panic state and this fight and flight mode. The next thing that I really like to do when I'm anxious is actually combinable with all of the other things that I have been talking about before. So you can combine it with a hot cup of tea, you can combine it with talking to your spirit allies, and you can combine it with meditation. I've tried all of these and they all helped amazing. And that is actually to just go outside and take a walk. You don't have to drive deep into nature, although that will probably be the most helpful thing. But I found that even just taking a walk around the block will be helpful. You may wonder, well, how do I combine that with talking to spirit allies? Because I don't really want to walk around in the streets and talk to my ancestors. No, but there are a lot of plants out there. And if you maybe have a plant ally or also a local land spirit around you that you already have a connection with, then you can talk to them. I have, for example, some trees. I'm a great tree friend for some reason. I have some trees, for example, that I really like to just spend time with when I'm stressed. And in general, I just feel like going out, getting some fresh air, that's the most German thing I've ever said, but taking a walk and getting some fresh air, it's distracting. And the fresh air personally helps me to kind of get rid of some of the intrusive thoughts. And if you happen to live anywhere where you have some grass available, it has also been scientifically proven that it's extremely helpful for your mental health to just stand barefoot in the grass, on the ground. When I have more time on my hands than like 10-15 minutes, I always go to the cemetery nearby. There are very little people there, so I try to earth and ground there with my bare feet on the grass. It's such an amazing feeling. And as I said, you can combine that with a hot cup of tea. You can prepare yourself a hot cup of tea and bring that with you outside. And you can combine it with meditations. On Aura, for example, there are a lot of great walking meditations, guided walking meditations. And I've done that a couple of times already where I felt stressed or very anxious. I went to the cemetery and I got out my Aura app and I did a guided walking meditation. And it was simply amazing, especially if you do that barefoot on the grass. It grounds you, it centers you, it calms you down, it distracts you. It's just amazing. The next thing that I really like to do to soothe my anxiety will be something that's maybe not for everyone because it's crystals. I have had the experience that crystals really help with my personal mental health. That's why I also already made a video on the crystals that I like to use when I'm anxious. So if you're interested in that, then check out that video. Some of the crystals that I really like are like amethyst because it's very soothing, mookaite because it's very, very grounding, smoky quartz is great because it transmutes negative energies to positive ones. You can carry crystals just with you. In my opinion, there is no need to charge them in every full moon because they lose their energy. No, they don't. Just tell them what they're supposed to do because, of course, one crystal has a lot of possible things that they can help you with. They very rarely only have one correspondence. So just tell them what you would like them to do so that they know what their job is, and then carry them with you. And even if you don't tell them what they're supposed to do, in my experience, they still do their job. Maybe it's also placebo, who knows? Who cares? Honestly, who cares? As long as it helps, who cares? But yeah, I know that not everyone is about crystals, so that's why I don't really want to talk ages about this topic, but personally, I really like working with them when I'm anxious, so you can check out my video on that. But now quickly, let us talk about the last topic, and that is simmer pots. Actually, I have only recently started using simmer pots. For anxiety, simmer pots are amazing, or in general to create a general feeling in your apartment. So, for example, when you're anxious, you probably feel very stressed and very nervous, and there's just this yucky, nervous feeling and these intrusive thoughts. So what you probably want is some kind of calming energy, some harmony, some peace, and you can create that with a simmer pot. And it's so easy. It's basically just making a tea, but not drinking it. So you basically just boil water with corresponding herbs in it. So for example, if you are feeling anxious, then try that maybe with lavender, lemon balm, mint, chamomile. All of these herbs, they smell amazing. Your apartment will smell great afterwards. They are all very calming and relaxing herbal allies that can help when you have anxiety. So you can either do that, or you could also go into a little bit of a different route. Then maybe make a simmer pot with some orange slices. I feel like citrus energy, and citrus, also just citrus smell. It's so blissful. I don't know, it's like a ray of sun that just brings you into this great state of mind. I don't know, it's a great good mood initiator in my opinion. But you can also add cinnamon, for example, that will smell very homey, but it will bring in also this energy of good mood and success and luck. Also, dandelion will be great for that purpose. Just try to figure out what you need when you're in a state of anxiety, and then make a simmer pot for that. Of course, it will be best to kind of prepare your recipes for simmer pots before you're in the state of anxiety, because you probably don't want to think about that when you already are stressed and anxious. Also, maybe if your state of anxiety has lasted for quite some time and you've spent a lot of time inside your apartment or your house, and you feel like this yucky energy is kind of stuck in your house, you can also make a cleansing simmer pot first with, for example, sage or rosemary or any other cleansing herbs that you really like and that smell good, preferably. And you can use this simmer pot to kind of get rid of all this yucky energy in your apartment. And afterwards, make another simmer pot with this calming energy or this joyous energy, so that you can kind of cleanse yourself of any negative, yucky, anxious energy and then bring in the good vibes. But yeah, these are the ways, the magical ways that I really like to cope with my anxiety and to kind of get back to a feeling of peace and calm when I'm anxious. If you suffer from anxiety and you have found some other ways that really help you, then please put them in the comments, because it would be amazing to just have a very long list of coping skills for when you're anxious. And this is where we come to the end of this video. Before I head out though, a patron shout out. Thank you so much to Bast, Yukai, Kirby, Liz, Bistetcha, Lisa, Sigrun, Ashley, Erica, Sturfried Stars, Mars Mortis, Christopher, Glacier, August, The Court Jester, Fabienne, Jella, JB, Tim, Anna, Lorna, Laura, Amber, Kristen, John, Ivy, Phoenix, Anton, Jenny, Tyler, Els, Maggie, Betty, Misty, Athena, Tiffany, Amy, Colette, Tell, Timothy, Coffee, or the Honorary Gossip Squirrel, Bjorn, and Ash. Thank you so much for supporting me. Honestly, it means the world to me. Of course, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some good ideas on how you can soothe your anxiety when it comes up. If you did enjoy the video, then of course, give a thumbs up, because it really helps with the bad YouTube algorithm. If you're not subscribed yet, then of course, subscribe to my channel, what you're doing. And yeah, you can check out all of my other socials, of course, my online shop, Sacred Sorcery, where I sell sustainably and ethically sourced witchcraft tools. And lastly, I will see you in the next video. Bye!